Azumanga Daioh, if you don't know this name.
Hello, everyone!
Yeah, now you remember it, right? It's the anime that came from. And today is the day for us to open the capsule of nostalgia that most people probably don't have, because almost no one have seen it at the time. But regardless, because it's an old anime, it still gives us nostalgia as if we all grew up with it. Azumanga Daioh is a story that was made by Kyohiko Asuma, Azumanga, the same author as Yotsubato, and this work literally marked the entire anime industry and people who watched it at the time. And even so, you don't find many people who watched it or have read the manga. Most people only know it from afar because of the various memes that came out of it, and not many go and sit down to watch or read to see what this story is all about. Mainly those who became interested in anime and such things many years after the time the story shined. But back in 2002, the anime scene was completely different. Liking anime was a niche thing, that either you were from Japan for liking it, or no one gave a damn because no one cared enough or didn't even know what it was. So apart from some very dedicated people, Azumanga Daioh's influence was largely felt only by the Japanese community and a few select people in the West, because after all, it wasn't a time that a fan of Dragon Ball or JoJo's would like or even watch an anime about schoolgirls. People normally just wanted to see people fighting. Azumanga Daioh in a classroom was the freshman who seems a bit weird at first, but at the end of the day, everyone who meets him becomes his friend. So unless that school scenario was your reality, this type of story was not your interest. But for the Japanese who had this reality, an anime like this, which experimented with several things that went a little outside of the norm, was embraced like a big teddy bear. Nico Nico Doga's community, which was more or less the YouTube of Japan in the mid 2000s, simply used to explode with Azumanga Daioh's memes. And we all know that the Japanese never do things half done in anything they do, so came out so many impressive stuff that just seem to believe. Even for today, it's pretty cool. So Azumanga Daioh perpetuated throughout the world the whole mystique that we all know today as cute girls doing cute things. Without Azumanga Daioh, anchors of this style would never exist. If you like the genre, you can get on your knees and bow down to Osaka, because without her and her friends, none of this would have ever happened. Lucky Star, queen of the giant old animes, nah, it wasn't even an embryo yet. You like those anime, but the ones who have a little more comedy that maybe everyone knows. Gekijou, but if you are more based, Asobe Sobase. Yeah, hello every damn paved it all. When you watch Azumanga Daioh, you can see the beginning of everything. You get to see things that you have seen many times before in other stories, but which first appeared here. Waifu, yes, the word, even though it had been used for many years before, it came and was popularized because of here. Yeah, it's a little bizarre to watch Patient Zero of things that are now so normal in the community's lore, things that everyone has seen and know about, but that people just accept that it's something that everyone does, but no one really knows its origin. For those who grew up in the 2000s, Azumanga Daioh was the Nichijou for those who grew up in the 2010s. I find it fascinating but a little sad that something so influential is so forgotten in the community. It's the same thing that has been happening with Haruhi, something that at one time was huge. You wouldn't go a week without seeing someone talking about it, and that everyone thought was one of the pillars of all anime that exists, that no one will ever forget it. But so many years removed later, this idea starts to fade away, and its influence stops being felt directly and becomes indirect, part of the culture, and generally accepted as something that exists even if no one knows how it became that way. This work is a true hidden giant that influenced many authors out there, and also entire generation many years ago. But that doesn't necessarily mean you should watch it. Maybe it was so forgotten for a reason, right? Hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm just making the situation feel more impactful. But it's just that it's a comedy from the 2000s. So the comedy itself is from the 2000s. So there are a lot of jokes that still work, but there are many others that don't hit as well as they should. And how people at the time understood it. People from decades ago probably laughed their ass off at Kimura, but today he's just a really creepy and uncomfortable character. Mainly because he's dealing with high school girls. There are a lot of things like that are already quite dated. Because of this, many of the punchlines in each mini episode don't hit, or you don't even realize it was something to laugh at. So in the end, along with its old animation, it became an anime the years have not been very kind to, and you might not like it very much because of that, especially if you go into the story already having some expectation for the fantastic stories that it influenced in the future, or because of the memes. No, Chio's father doesn't show up all the time, but cute girls doing cute things will never get old. So if you are from this perspective, you will probably really like Azumanga Daioh, because even if you don't laugh at the flying yellow minister, the girls are having their normal day-to-day lives just the same, and Osaka and Chio will give you a hand and show you everything those girls have to experience in their last 3 years of school. So on this side of the genre, it's really nice to watch, and when it touches on some more serious topics, people who can't handle much, maybe you will drop a few tears here and there. It's really cool, but Tadakichi-san activates my PTSD. Okay. Whew. All the main characters are really sweet. Tomo not so much. But Osaka should be a national treasure, because, my god. Anyway, they all complement each other perfectly in their little own ways. And the voice actors really gave their all, and it was truly perfect. So many insane screams from Chio that you feel deep inside your soul. It's amazing. And because it's all based on skit comedy, at one point or another you will laugh regardless, even if the jokes are perhaps a little dated, so it's not all bad. Azumanga Daioh showed at time that the norm was more visceral, that it's not always that you need epic stories and tense battles to grab people's attention, that maybe the charm of a normal life, of normal girls, is more than enough, and capture the hearts of many people, the same people who think that maybe the story is the best thing in the world, that simply won't stand for people talking otherwise. So even if you don't watch it, now you know the weight that the name Azumanga Daioh carries in this world of anime and manga that we all enjoy nowadays. Its light style, its jokes, its visual humor, and the way its characters genuinely interact with each other were crucial blocks in building the DNA of hundreds of stories out there. Azumanga Daioh didn't just walk so others could run, it tap danced its way into people's hearts and laid the asphalt on the street of the slice of life genre of comedy. If you didn't know about this classic, maybe it's time to pay some respect to your elders and go and watch. Now, everyone, arigato Osaka-san. But if you don't want to watch it either, it's fine. The Hello Evgenian happens in episode 25.